Hey, prospectors, it's your buddy Sam here, and I have a couple announcements with our MagicCon Atlanta schedule. If you're not going to MagicCon Atlanta, you can feel free to skip this. I will just say before you go that we do have a new t-shirt in our bonfire for the MagicCon Atlanta convention. It's our Stay Peachy design. So even if you're not going to the convention, if you want a big HSM skull biting into a giant peach, then you can have that on a shirt. But if you are going to MagicCon Atlanta, then there's some things that you need to know. So our Friday is jam-packed. We are kicking it off at 11 a.m. with a live gameplay that we're doing with the Chad Magic guys, where we're playing the saltiest Commander game ever. Yes, I know the last time we did this, it was pretty salty, but this time we're bringing even more. We got new decks brewed up, new spice we're doing, new salt we're bringing. But the most important thing is our live show, which is happening from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the Spin Down panel room. You're going to want to get there early. As usual, we're going to be doing some giveaways. I have some custom tokens that I've drawn that I'll be giving away. If you're going to be in the audience and you have a story, send it to us with Atlanta in the title so that I can find it. If you've already sent us a story and you're going to be in the audience, you can also resend it with Atlanta in the title, and I'll pull it into the fold for this thing. We hope to pack the room. We hope to have a bunch of people there. Every single time we've done one of these, it's been bigger and better than the last one, so we're hoping to keep the trend going. Right after the live show, starting at 3:30, back in Creator Central, we're doing the Howling Salt Mine meetup, baby. From 3:30 to 6:30, we're just going to be jamming games with people. Tony, Mike, and myself are each going to have a sign-up list like we normally do, and we're just going to jam pods with folks. First come, first serve, CDH, casual, whatever the heck you want to do. Just jamming Commander games the whole time. We're going to have space for 5 pods, so if you're just hanging around and you want to play with some other prospectors, sit on down, jam some games. We're going to do it till they kick us out. Saturday, we got nothing. No plans on Saturday. Free agents. If you see us and you want to catch a game, let us know. We'll see what we can do. Sunday morning, we're back in Creator Central from 10:30 to noon doing our meet and greet. So if you want to take photos with us, if you want to have a dedicated time to just chit chat with us, have us sign something for you, we're probably also going to be asking people what makes them salty. We would love to see you there. The meet and greets are always one of our favorite parts. Last but not least, I'm doing another panel on Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. in the Spin Down panel room. It's another doodle off organized by my buddies David, My Hands Are Blank, and Jacob Paris, with a few other awesome artists that are going to be there. So come through, have us draw random characters from memory. It's going to be a really good time. That's all I got. Remember, live show, 2 to 3 p.m. on Friday. Send us your stories for that, and I hope to see you in Atlanta. Let's start that theme music.
One podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into those salty, salty minds of the Magic the Gathering community, find the salty stories, the salty posts that we love, put them in our minecart, and bring them right back up to you, our dear prospectors at home. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined by my two lovely, lovely co-hosts, Mike and Tony. Say hey, guys.
What up, what up, what up?
Hello.
Hello, indeed. And before we go any further, you know we got to shout out our nice tier patrons, Accidental TPK, Alex Balex, Dr. Black, and Z. Z, thank you for being so nice. Guys, I'm moving.
He's moving.
And I've spent the last week packing my house.
Preparing for that move.
Yeah, not only am I moving, I'm selling my current house.
Yeah.
And you guys can see it. This is an audio only episode, but you guys can see it. Tony commented on it immediately when we joined the call today. My office is like gone.
Yeah, it's empty.
Yeah, it's bare.
There's nothing there
It's
that
bare.
once was.
Normally I have like a second wraparound desk and there's just cards everywhere. So I can kind of just be
There's
like,
a bunch of shit all over it.
I can just kind of pivot and like tinker with decks and then pivot back and do other shit. Now it's literally an empty room. All of my sound dampening foam on the walls has been removed.
Are you sure the people visiting the house in the open house wouldn't want that? They wouldn't want to see that. They wouldn't want to envision themselves with sound dampening in all the corners of the rooms upstairs.
It's funny because I was like trying to convince Caroline that I could leave a little bit of soundproof foam like behind my computer screen. And she was like, no, you can't do that. So if I sound weird today, it's because I'm in literally like an empty box right now. Dudes, it's been fucking awful. Like, prepping a house. So I've bought a house before. This is my first house that I ever bought. I've purchased a house before. I've moved out of apartments before. You know, everyone knows how to like pack a box. Everyone knows the struggles of moving and cleaning up after everything is out, and you clean up your apartment, you get your security deposit back. It is so different to clean up your house to a point where it is photographable and like staged to be attractive for other people to want to live there. Because it's like I move out like 40 to 50% of the stuff, but I leave the other stuff. But I also need to like make it look really nice for a stranger to walk in and be like, ooh, that's a nice looking desk. I can envision myself sitting at this desk someday. It's fucking weird. And it sucks. It sucks bad.
I feel like when you move an apartment, like you just need to get it clean enough that the landlord like and knowing your landlord, you can get away with more or less depending upon where things are at. You're very like, I'm out of here. This is somebody else's problem.
Like I'm going to spackle the holes, but I'm not going to paint over them.
Like the house is your problem until somebody buys it from you. And to get them to buy it, you need to make it look really nice.
Yeah. Like we had to spackle the holes and paint over them and buy 8 different colors of paint because the people who used to own our house were like, you know, was like a madman who painted every single room a different color. Yeah. So it's just great. Like I had to take the bidets off the toilets because
really?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want a bidet? I'd be like, this is a feature. Like you should have a bidet when you come here.
I'm not getting rid of my bidet.
No, not give them it, but just like, I would be like, oh, bidet is obviously like.
So that's the thing. If you leave the bidet on the toilet.
And then people would be like, does that come with it?
Then you either have to include it or you have to be specifically like the bidet doesn't come with it. And that's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is kind of a bummer for people to be like, you actually can't have that. Like it's weird. Like we're buying a house right now. And for some reason, the family that we're buying the house from was like, ooh, there's like 3 shelves in the little kids' room that we're going to keep. And we were like, okay. Like, we don't really care. But then when we went and toured the house for the inspection, we were looking at the shelves and we were like, why do they want to keep these shelves? Like, what's up with these shelves? You know, it was just like this thing that like.
Were they nice shelves?
No, they're like $5 IKEA shelves. They're like, not, I wouldn't have even noticed that the shelves weren't there.
So are they leaving everything else?
Yeah. So if it's bolted to the wall, it's assumed that you're leaving it. That's kind of like the rule of thumb.
And are these shelves bolted to the wall?
When you say shelves, you mean like a little like,
I mean, like a tiny little like floating shelf that like maybe 2 books could go on in a kid's room.
It's a floating shelf.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's bolted to the wall.
Those.
I see.
And like I literally had this conversation with my realtor today because we had they took all the photos for the staging and stuff today. And we were like looking in the kitchen. I was like, I have like this magnetic, knife holder. I was like, I think I want to keep that. He's like, you want to keep that? I was like, yeah. He's like, you can't just buy another one for like $20. You want to you want me to put it in the listing that the knife thing is staying? He's like, could you just take it off the wall or just, And I was like, okay, that's fair. I'll just buy a new one. It's like not a big deal. It's like not a big enough deal for me to be like, give me that knife rack. And if you like it, tough cookies, because I'm taking it with me,
Yeah.
So I've just been working like fucking nonstop, patching holes in the walls, painting things, cleaning the basement. Fucking clean the basement for felt like 2 days straight. Last night I was up until 2 a.m. doing the final cleaning and detailing to prepare everything for photos.
How do you clean an unfinished basement?
I have a shop vac and I just vacuumed every cobweb, every surface, got all the dust up off of it. I swept the concrete floors.
How long have you been living there again?
That. We've been here for 4 years.
So
and
4 years of dust.
There were boxes in the basement that were there when we moved in.
I thought you were about to be like, there were bodies down in the basement.
They were, I don't know, bugs, dead bugs. They're dead bugs.
Bodies of bugs.
But dude, it was such a lesson in just do the little maintenance thing. Hey, you got a chip of paint? Hey, folks at home listening right now, you got a little chip of paint on that windowsill? Just fix it right now. Just go buy a little canopy and fix it right now. You know?
That or never move, but that's usually not a real option for most people.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, when you have all these tiny repairs that take 10, 15 minutes to do, and you stack up 120 of them,
yeah.
you're like, oh my God, I just want to die.
Yeah,
this is horrible.
How do I make it through this?
There's so much shit to be done. And just packing up my Magic cards, dude, it's shocking how much Magic shit I have. Like, I knew I had a lot. Caroline packed up her office in like one box. It's like 8 boxes of Magic shit, and that's not including like the card boxes that I have that are like just bricks of Magic cards in general. It's ridiculous, dude. So it's just weird to half move, let a lot of people into your house, and then you get in this space where you're like, okay, I must remain half moved. I have to, like, we're not going to take everything out and start living that way. We're just going to like eat off of paper plates and like, try to keep the house as clean as possible for the next like few weeks until we can move into our new house.
Just trying to survive.
Just
You
maintaining.
don't just have to make it through the open house and then like.
Well, no, because people might not buy it from the first open house.
I suppose so. Yeah.
That's the thing. And even if someone puts an offer in, if they do the inspection and they see something they don't like, they could be like, nah, I don't want it anymore. And then we have to put it back on the market.
Right.
Anywho, so I'm like running on fumes, man.
House has never been cleaner. You're almost like, man, we shouldn't get rid of it.
Interesting thought. Yeah. So that is a thing where you're like, it's pretty nice in here now.
Yeah.
We did a lot of good work.
I like this house.
Yeah. Caroline's been like, oh, I can't believe we're moving. And I'm like, dude, you're commuting an hour and a half every day. We have to move. And she's like, yeah. So it's very bittersweet to leave our house. But
and now that it's cleaned up, every commute she has is like faster than it's ever been. Like no traffic.
Dude,
Like
2 weeks ago, we had put an offer in on a house and it got accepted. And we were going through the early stages. I swear to God, that week, every single time she commuted, it was 40 minutes. And she was like, oh God, what are we doing?
yeah.
And then literally, I mean, it sucks that it happened, but kind of thank goodness that it did. Literally 2 days ago, she drove into work and it took her an hour and a half to get in.
Yeah. And she was
And we
like,
were like,
fuck this.
she was
I
like,
hate
oh
everything.
yeah, I fucking hate everything. Cool, let's move. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So it's just been a crazy process. But the studio as well. The studio is being moved and relocated. You will hear about it on some upcoming episodes that come out, or maybe they have already come out. But oh, dude! So this other thing happened, and I'll end my story with this. So we had a bunch of junk we got to get rid of. Like I went through the whole basement. I was filling contractor bags with shit, and we got our front door replaced like 2 years ago, and they just never disposed of the old door. So we've had this like door kicking around. It's like, how do you throw out a fucking door? You take to the dump or something?
Yeah.
And I don't have a car that can like load a door and bring it to the dump. So I called a junk removal service. And yesterday, again, photos were taken today at 10 a.m. That was when our appointment started. Yesterday, I had scheduled a junk pickup to come and get our shit and like get it out of here.
Did they
clean up the
charge you,
place.
I assume, some amount? Some like nominal fee or something?
You get charged like a disposal cost for the volume that they take away and then like labor. So I'm driving. I got to go get like a new toilet seat, right? Because I'm taking off the bidets. And I get a call while I'm going over there. And it's the junk removal service. And this is fucking Tuesday morning, right? And I'm like, oh, sick. They're calling to confirm the appointment, which is what they said they were going to do. And they call and they're like, hey, our truck broke down, so we actually can't remove your junk today. And I was like, well, I need it removed today. They're like, well, we can come tomorrow. And I was like, well, can you come before 10 a.m. tomorrow? Because it has to be gone by 10 a.m. They're like, ooh, our first appointment is at 10 a.m. from 10 to noon. I was like, well, well, you guys fucked me over then, didn't you?
Yeah. But also you're like, can you come before 10? And they're like, maybe, but our first appointment's from 10 till noon. And it's like, then you literally can't.
Yeah, then you literally can't. Like, we could come at 10 or, within that 2-hour window, perhaps. I was like, okay, so you can't do shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, so you guys just can't help me at all. They're like, yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, oh my God.
Useless.
Like, I hate movers. I have such a horrible track record with scheduling movers and having them just fucking always cancel last minute. So I'm like losing it. I'm like, how am I going to get this shit out of here?
Dude, you need Sergio.
Who's Sergio?
It is Sergio, right?
Oh, it's
Tony
Fabio,
recommended.
bro.
Fabio.
It's
Oh my
Fabio.
God.
Fabio.
He's not a couple
He's
years.
at
Thankfully,
every move,
thankfully, since I've moved. Yeah, he's great.
He honestly is
Fabio's
great.
excellent, dude.
Is he just a guy? Like a strong man?
No, he's got a couple of young strapping lads he brings with him.
Yeah. But literally on his website, it's like Fabio. He's at every move. And he fucking is.
What is his website? Does he do interstate moves? I'm looking it up right now.
I don't know if he does.
Fabio Moving Services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you call him, he might.
He'll move you. He'll move you.
Emotionally.
He was great. And he was cheap.
Dude, one time, Caroline and I, we were trying to move across Providence, and like we had contacted movers, and our friend was like, these movers are great. And we were like, hell yeah. And we contacted them. They call us and they're like, hey, we're going to be a little late. We're at this morning thing. The person didn't tell us the full scope. There's a lot of extra stuff to move. We're like, no worries. Don't worry. As a side note, Caroline had won a raffle to get a bunch of donuts, like a dozen donuts from this really swank donut place. And we were like, let's get the donuts. We'll feed the movers donuts. They're going to be so fucking
They'll
happy,
love
dude.
us.
They'll love us, and we'll have a great move, and we'll all be smiling and eating donuts and having a great time. So they keep calling us, and they're like, yeah, just like another hour, like a couple more hours. We're like, okay. And we're like, well, let's just do what we can in the meantime. It finally
I thought you
is
were gonna
like,
say, let's just eat the donuts.
well, we're picking at a couple, right? So it finally is like 6 p.m. and they call us, and I'm like, where are you guys? And they're like, bad news. Our guys have already been on the road for 14 hours today, and legally we cannot come and move your stuff today. And I was like, okay, so when can you come? Tomorrow? And they're like, we can come. It was like Friday or something. They were like, we can come Tuesday. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I have to move now, dude. And it was the critical thing where we had like moved Zucchini's stuff. Like we had already moved the cat. We needed the move needed to happen that day.
Yeah.
So we just looked at each other. We called up. There's one U-Haul place in Providence that was open until like 10 p.m. or something. We went there. We got a van, and we just fucking did it ourselves. And we just hate. And we just ate
moved.
a dozen donuts with fucking angry hatred. We were just like, we just kept looking at each other and just being like, this, just give it like this exact, like, what the fuck? And we're like, we're just gonna get it done, and then just eat like gourmet donuts, just like, like
Amazing.
rage eat donuts, and we fucking got it done. We got it done all in a day. But holy shit,
Sounds
I
awful.
will say, if something happens this time with Fabio, it's got to be you, because Fabio doesn't.
That's true.
He doesn't
Fabio
fuck
doesn't
around.
doesn't fuck around. Were any of those ornate donuts? Were any of them like unique, interesting flavors?
none of them were salty, but movers get me salty as fuck, and I'm actively angry right now reliving these memories.
Interesting. Sam, what is salt?
It's when a mover doesn't show up when you need them to. And why the
That'd make
fuck do
me
I schedule
salty.
in advance? Why even have a schedule if you're just like, yeah, we can't fucking make it? Like, oh my God. Salt is anything in the game of Magic that's going to get you frustrated. It's anything that puts you in a bad mood. I'm not going to say I'm grumpy now, so I'm just going to cut it off
Dude,
there.
Fabio shows up, he wraps your furniture, he'll like wrap the stuff with the extra things and like
Yeah. He
strap
comes
it
like
up.
ready to go.
He comes
Like,
ready to go. We've
I
had
want it.
stuff. One of the moves we had like a couple things where we're like, oh, don't worry about that. We'll take that. Like we didn't pack that part. Like we'll take that when, just get out of here. Like it's fine. We'll pack that. And he was like, nah. And they just like took it in whatever format it was, whatever like shit pile of stuff, like like gloves shoved into a ski helmet, and they're like, yeah, fuck it, I'll take that. It was great, dude.
Man.
I also had some where like my boxes were not very well done.
Yeah.
And Fabio still made it work. Also, he's added like 6 layers of tape to it just to keep the box fucking together.
What a guy, dude.
Yeah.
That's the energy I need.
Champ.
Yeah, I need someone to just do it for me and help me.
They moved me into a 3-floor walk-up too. So they're not fucking around.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well, we're going to talk about salt, folks. There are more detailed explanations in other episodes. We're talking about getting salty in Magic the Gathering. And it's an edge of educational podcast because we want to learn from it and hopefully not be salty in a future game.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Let's get into it, guys. Enough of this moving bullshit.
Oh, I was going to say moving as the word. Or mover.
Okay, well, mover is good. Let's see if we get anything there. I like mover. All right. We're really digging. We're digging deep here.
I want the Fabio professional mover Universes Beyond secret layer.
We're just Fabio in his truck standing there like.
Ooh, should I do the oldest one we have here?
There's
oldest
multiple for
unread
mover.
This is the oldest one. It corrected to moving, but hey, we can do it. This is the oldest one with moving that we have. This is from April 20th, 2024.
Hey.
Dude, holy shit, dude. Oh my God.
Is that like an important date or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just like to do that voice sometimes,
I think it's a sex number or something.
Yeah.
The post is titled, I Commit Sins and Tragedies. Nice. Okay.
And tragedies.
And tragedies. Some great Roman tragedies.
I wonder if there's going to be some panic.
Ooh.
Potentially at a disco here.
I chimed in. And this one comes from our buddy Cameron. And the message goes, howdy, Foreman, longtime listener here with a salty story from last night at my LGS. Well, Cameron,
it's fresh.
this one's been at the back of the refrigerator, and we're cutting the mold off and still taking a bite. I haven't been going to the store for long, but I've already made a few friends that I'd love to play with. However, there's one player that I just dread. We'll call him Linchpin Jim for reasons that will become painfully apparent. I've only played one game against Linchpin Jim where his commander wasn't at least 7 mana. Nearly every deck is helmed by a high mana nuke of a commander. Almost every game, he gets stuck on 2 to 4 lands, which leads me to believe it isn't misfortune that he's always mana screwed. Nevertheless, Linchpin Jim's decks revolve exclusively around his commander's ability. This, in conjunction with his mana issues, has the unfortunate consequence of giving him wine bullets to fire out of his salt gun every time someone attacks him or interacts with him. Not delicious fermented grapes, folks.
That's where my brain went at first. Then I was like, oh, he means like wine, like whining.
Yeah. WHINE. Yeah. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just ramping, he declares. Leave me alone. My turn 2 Tiamat doesn't need to be stopped. I don't even have any lands, he says, with enough mana rocks to give a crystal collector their money's worth. This past night was by far the worst interaction I've had with him. He was on Tiamat. During the game, I asked that he specifically announce that he was moving to combat so that I could interact before any beginning of combat triggers went off. Still, he would just say, attacks, triggers, I do X thing, swing. And I'd have to ask him to rewind everything he just did because I had effects before combat. This often resulted in Linchpin Jim putting cards in his hand due to some combat triggers before I had even passed priority. Once I was holding mana up to counter his commander and he said, cast Tiamat, equip Greaves, and then insisted that the chance to counter Tiamat was gone because other game actions had taken place. I ended up letting it go, but I was annoyed. His habit of playing too quickly and doing combat slightly out of order makes playing with him a nightmare. I was on my Halana and Elena Gruul Legends deck and was attacking with creatures like Emissary Green? When was attacking with creatures like Emissary Green and Atali Primal Storm. He would demand that I announce how much damage I was swinging at him with, despite the fact that Emissary Green requires that the other players vote before I can determine exactly how much damage can be dealt. Sometimes I'd cave and say something like 6 right now, depends on the votes. And he would take 6 and refuse to take the extra damage after Emissary Green's trigger had actually resolved.
Oh my God.
His sodium levels were rapidly rising to medically dangerous levels, and he started to get pissy about every move I took. He was complaining that I was going infinite, in quotes, with Emissary Green and aggravated assault, but he kept voting for treasures. It was far from infinite, and it wasn't even my aggravated assault. I stole it from him with a Tolly. Even worse, he'd previously tutored up old Gnawbone, so I know that he runs an actual infinite version of the combo and was tutoring the pieces out for it. He more than once tried to tell me that I could only pick counters or haste with my commander and repeatedly questioned how I was giving a freshly cast creature counters and haste. I considered myself to be generally good at table talk and giving people the benefit of the doubt, but it got to the point where I committed the gravest sin, salting off. I raised my voice and told him that my commander had the ability, and I put it on top of his deck if it would help him remember the ability that's been on the board for 6 turns. I demanded that we verbally pass priority on every game action since it was clearly an issue. Lastly, I told him that my deck was combat focused and that I could not shortcut combat. So I would be verbally announcing every single step of combat and waiting for everyone to pass priority on every step before moving on, since he seemed so confused. This slowed the game down to an absolute crawl, since I was in the middle of popping off with aggravated assault. The mood of the game was already iffy, but this sealed it as a bad game, which is a real bummer. I know I was in the wrong for getting salty, but what do you guys think? How would you have reacted in this situation? Okay, before we get into it, can we please read Emissary Green? I think a lot of people know Atali Primal Storm, which is like sealing things up people's decks with attack triggers. But Emissary Green is one of those cards that came out, zipped past me. I didn't even take notice. And I honestly thought it was a typo when I first read it.
Friend of Mastermind Plum, Emissary Green is 4 and a green for a legendary creature, Human Advisor. When Emissary Green attacks, starting with you, each player votes for profit or security. You create a number of treasure tokens equal to twice the number of profit votes. You put a number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, equal to the number of security votes.
Damn.
And just so people know, aggravated assault costs 5. It's an enchantment with an activated ability, costs 5 mana to untap all your creatures and give you an additional combat step afterwards. So if somebody at your table is voting to give you more treasures and then you're using them to attack again, I mean, it's kind of on them.
Yes.
And that is just one of the many sins in this story. So this guy sucks.
Yeah, this is terrible. There's also the Tiamat piece. Like, I play Tiamat, I equip Lightning Greaves, and it's a counter that they wanted to use to interact with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiamat has a big old enters the battlefield trigger.
Yes.
So like you would have to resolve searching for 5 dragon cards before you can even equip Lightning Greaves. So did you manage to look through your deck, pull 5 cards out, shuffle it, and then put it down and then still be like, oh, you didn't counter in time? I
Well,
don't understand.
it's a really super special version of Lightning Greaves where you actually attach it to a creature spell on the stack.
Right.
And it comes into play.
And
it's
it has
Silverboard.
split
attached
second.
with it.
Yeah, and it's split second, and it comes into play attached already. Yeah, it's got the acorn stamp on it for sure.
I feel like Mike and I joke with each other a bunch. In the first Harry Potter movie, there's a moment where they're playing Quidditch. And the referee goes, I want a good clean game. And like we always talk about that for like Magic.
You literally made that joke before we started recording.
I know.
Earlier today. Yep.
It's very much like a part of like what we say.
Yeah.
And like this person just
In your lexicon.
doesn't want that. They don't want a good clean game.
They want
everything
sloppy.
is-
They want
they're just sloppy as all hell.
Calvin Ball.
Yeah.
Calvin Ball for sure, man.
For a player like this, I often wonder if it's a case where they actually just don't really get the rules fully. And like, that's the very benefit of the Doughty approach of like not understanding it. But that's somewhat rare with people that have played a lot. And especially in like multiplayer formats, usually one of the people in a commander pod will know what's up. So usually people have encountered someone that is able to actually walk them through how some of these things work.
Mhm.
And if you don't understand these things, like the least you can do is actually be, amenable to someone helping you out in understanding what's going on.
Yeah,
This kills me. This kills me.
I think Magic tends to be a little bit of a passive game in that if you are not very confident in the rules, you're more inclined to sit there and let somebody just do stuff quickly than to actually like engage in that is incorrect. You are like doing this wrong. And so it almost like reinforces some of these bad habits. And it's like hard and annoying to have to be the person all the time to be like, no, like I have a thing I want to do. Like you're skipping this phase. Like I feel like I do this at work all the time. So it doesn't really bother me when I'm playing Magic. When I know a thing, I'm like, no, like
you skip the email phase.
Basically, I'm like, no, I like have an opinion on this thing. Like you don't get to just keep going. Like we have to talk about this thing that's happening right now in front of us.
Yeah.
We're not just going to skip 4 or 5 things because you are moving quick and want to do a cool thing. Like, sorry, bro.
Yeah.
There's something that I say a lot on this show, which is like summer camp rules, because, and I've told the story before, but there was this kid that I played Magic with very briefly in college, and he just built this deck and played it against me and my roommate. And like literally every card he misunderstood, everything he did wrong. He was like untapping creatures and removing them from combat, like using an untap effect to remove a creature from combat and then attack again. And he's like, well, now your creature's blocked and it can't block me a second time. And I was like, you have no idea how the combat phase works. And there's this thing where like sometimes people are taught wrong, but they learn enough about the hobby. They learn enough about like Magic and interactions to be dangerous, but not enough to be accurate. And this is like the perfect example of someone who has an old Gnawbone aggravated assault combo in their deck to go infinite, but doesn't know how the priority stack works. And is just like, and doesn't know how like combat works where additional damage is dealt after things come through. Like they're missing basic understandings, but they're also like juiced up with nitrous oxide a little bit with some of the cards that they're running.
Yeah.
So I agree with all the things where this person sucks and is annoying, but the end result is OP here, like kind of making the game not fun because they like lose their shit a little bit. And I get how they lost their shit, but how do you feel about that piece of it?
This is exactly the form of salting out I can see myself taking.
Yeah.
Being like, okay. Do you mind doing all of your phases? Actually, let's just get really precise about priority for a minute. And it would be veiled. It would be veiled in wanting a good, clean game. There would be some truth to that, but I would also have pushed beyond that and need them to suffer from the complete opposite side of the pendulum. Like, I've been losing my mind because we've been playing with no rules. We now don't get to have any of the convenience functions of shortcutting stuff that Magic relies upon to be a fun game. So we're all in this now. We're stuck in it.
Yeah, I think it's like legend shit. I fucking love it to just be like, every single thing we're passing priority on. I'm going to teach you right now how the stack works and how combat works.
Yeah.
One step and phase at a time. I love it. I also love like taking the commander and putting it on top of their deck and being like, this can live right here if you need to keep reading it, you fucking dumbass. It's been on the board for 6 fucking turns. If you can't read across the whole table, just take it. Just take the fucking card.
Yeah, just let me know. Let me know.
Just keep, you know what? You can keep that one. You can keep it as a reference, actually. I have another copy right here. I love that. That's like, it's so
I do think
good.
it's a bummer. I think ideally you try to do what you can to resolve this earlier than the point that you're so fried that you need to do that. But it sounds like OP here did a lot of those steps of like trying to be like, hey, can you repeat these steps, saying up front, my deck uses combat, I need to do things like, can you make sure you do things in appropriate order? So I think you did a lot of the steps. So to me, it just seems like an inevitable end to have this terrible time.
It's a lot of somebody briskly moving through steps and phases to their benefit. Like, let's not forget that the outcome of all of these things that Linchpin Jim is doing is the benefit of Linchpin Jim. It's not like, oh, I'm rushing through things and, oh yeah, you're right. You said counterspell faster than I could say my thing, so it's gone. They're like, oh, no. The Greaves are already on it. Oh, no, my trigger's already happened. I'm already attacking. Oh, you shouldn't have this infinite mana combo in your deck, even though you stole half of my infinite mana combo that I run in my deck. You know,
And even though yours isn't exactly infinite unless I keep voting for treasures for you.
I'm feeding your infinite combats. So to me, that is somebody who's like kind of actively being shitty, and in my opinion, my read on the situation, actively ignoring some of these rules because it's to their benefit, because you're going out of your way to explaining them. You're saying that like Emissary Green has the potential to get +1/+1 counters on it and deal more damage, and this person is just straight up not taking any additional damage that comes through. Like, to some extent, this is cheating, right? Like at a certain point, like weaponized ignorance becomes cheating.
Yeah.
Is it Linchpin Jin or Linchpin Jim?
Jim.
M or N?
Like James. Linchpimothy James.
Gotcha.
Linchpimothy Jimothy.
Linchpimothy Jimothy.
What do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
So fucking high, dude. I would never play a game with Linchpin Jim.
It's high.
This would be my last game with Linchpin Jim.
You've got to at least have the ability to progress in your understanding of the rules. I don't care if people don't know anything about how the game works. I will happily play with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm expecting you to be, open to at least understanding the game more if someone were to offer you how the game works. And it does not sound like Linchpinothy Jimothy is on that page. And that sounds awful. Not even to get into like only running linchpin commanders. We didn't even talk about that.
And
piece,
there's shit deck building where they're always stuck on 2 to 4 lands, and they're like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah, but then yet they had like a turn 2 Tiamat. Like,
yeah. It kind of adds up though. It's like they are probably used to playing, their big linchpin commander that does one thing, and then it's so impactful that the game ends. So they don't need to know how the game works because all they do is play rocks and play their game ender from the command zone.
Yep.
Sounds pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, we know you do that.
Well, should we do another one?
Yeah.
Let's.
Give me a search term, guys.
Fabio?
I knew it was going to be Fabio.
Yes.
Is there one?
Yeah, there's got to be.
There is one.
I love it.
There is one story. Oh, and before we move on, I will say, Cameron, send us an update, dude. Put Linchpin Jim in the title of the email to us, thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. But I need an update. Have you had any more interactions with Linchpin Jim? This is well over a year ago. I'm very curious. Okay, moving on. This one comes to us from our buddy who would like to be referred to as salty but accurate.
I'll be the judge of that.
And the story is titled Turn 1 Trauma and Minecraft Proxies. And the story goes, salutations, crusty dicklings. This one's fresh, like 10 minutes post-game fresh. Okay.
Wow. Right when we were at our peak.
Okay, that's great. Because I did a scan of this, and I'll tell you, what's your buddy, salty but accurate? We'll just call you SBA. SBA, Sibba, Saba,
Spa.
That's hard to say. The formatting is wild on this one. After the first paragraph, there's just a lone bullet with no text. And then it goes to the next paragraph. This is
usually what he
in a
says
salty
wild
fervor.
is not good.
Not good.
Usually.
Yeah, not good. This is written. There's a lot of salt behind these key taps.
Let's say behind these run-on sentences.
Literally. Let me start off by saying our commander group uses the bracket system to try and keep things fair. It's the basis for every game we play. My friend in the play group, let's call him Dopey, likes to push the ceiling on what can be in a bracket. I should say this comes from June. We've logged over 40 games through an app, and patterns are starting to emerge. One of those patterns, Dopey wins a lot. He's rocking a win rate over 50%. And he's known for always playing the highest powered, most optimized deck available in any bracket we agree on. So when he says he's got a bracket 4, what he means is I built a bracket 5 deck and took out 3 cards. With that in mind, here's how tonight went. Earlier today, my buddy, let's call him Bigfoot, who's still learning how to sequence spells and what the stack is, sends a message to our Snapchat group, which has about 9 active players. And this is in quotes. This is the message. Bringing Flubs the Fool tonight. It's cracked now. 16 game changers. Duels. You won't believe it. We've seen Flubs before. It was a bracket 2 chaos deck that basically shuffled itself, so we're skeptical. We tell him to bring more than just Flubs, since we don't know yet what bracket the night will land on. He says he will. We show up, and Bigfoot only brought Flubs again. This time it's for real, he says. We ask what bracket it is. He gives us nothing but it has everything in it. Super helpful. How many game changers? I don't know. More than 3? Definitely. At this point, we call over the LGS worker to audit the deck, and immediately 2 copies of Lotus Petal. One gets swapped out for a basic land. Should be fine, right? Spoiler, it isn't. Now here's the pod. Me on Eureka, bracket 4, probably 30 cards short of CEDH. A different player in our group, let's call him Fabio.
Hey.
On Kinnan, also bracket 4-ish, but definitely missing staples. Dopey
Dude,
is
Fabio
on.
would definitely play Kinnan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Fabio would play Fabio would play Derevi, because Fabio famously got smashed in the face by like a goose on a roller coaster. You guys remember that?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know this?
Some person at home might be loving this, but seems debatable.
In March 30th, 1999, Fabio rode a roller coaster at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and a goose was flying by. For whatever reason, Fabio was invited. He was fucking big in the late 90s. Fabio was invited to the opening of Apollo's Chariot, a new roller coaster. And at some point, a goose flew by the roller coaster, and Fabio smashed it with his face. There is a photo of Fabio looking bewildered with like blood all over his face.
Oh
like
my God.
he killed the goose with his face.
Shit. I didn't know our Fabio was named after a legend, legendary goose hunter.
It's crazy. Let me just so are
I
you
found there's a YouTube video.
like just look at this, Tony.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit. Is that his blood or the goose's?
That's well, it might be him. I think it's mostly the gooses, though. It's here. Look at this.
Fabio and the goose.
Yeah, look at
It's
it.
just him coming out afterwards and being like,
He's fucked up. He's jacked up. He's so jacked up. Wow, the sound from that YouTube video is horrible. He's so jacked up, dude. He really gets fucked up by the goose. All right. Anyways. A quick non sequitur. So a different player in our group, let's call him Fabio, is on Kinnan, also bracket 4-ish, but definitely missing staples. Dopey is playing Magda, which we swear is bracket 5. And Bigfoot is, of course, on Flubs, whose bracket level is now officially ? The game begins. Dopey takes turn 1. Buckle up. He exiles Simian Spirit Guide for 1 red, then plays some unknown 1 mana red spell that gives him 2 more red mana. Rite of Flame?
Rite of Flame.
Casts Magda, then drops
Unknown.
Survivor's Encampment. Taps Magda for treasure and casts a metal changeling artifact dwarf that gives him 2 dwarfs and a treasure on 1 turn. That's pretty hot. Survivor's Encampment is pretty spicy in Magda.
That's great.
Yeah. The rest doesn't matter because Dopey wins on turn 3 with no interaction from anyone else at the table. Fabio and I look at each other like, yeah, that's bracket 4. All right. Dopey's explanation? Bracket 5 isn't real. Ew. Fuck you. I hate it when people say that. CDH isn't real. What are you talking about? What do you mean? It's not real? What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway.
I mean, it's not real, but
That statement alone was enough to overflow the perpetual salt shaker. Yeah, I feel it, baby. I feel it right now. Then we learned Bigfoot has 2 copies of Breeding Pool in his deck, missed in the earlier audit. So that's 2 Lotus Petals and 2 Breeding Pools in a supposedly singleton deck. By now, we're just numb. We roll into game 2 with the same decks. And guess what? Dopey wins again. turn 3 or 4. Surprise. Meanwhile, Bigfoot, who's still learning how to tap for mana properly, is piloting a deck jammed full of dual lands, fetches, mana rocks, and high-tier spells, all proxied. And not nice proxies either. These are pixelated, off-center, glossy Minecraft-ass cards printed off an ancient Canon inkjet. The backs look like someone Googled MTG card template and hit print page 1 of 100. Also, our group has a clear rule. You can proxy cards only if you own the real version. Bigfoot? He does not. And the cherry on top, he doesn't actually know how to pilot the deck. Every turn, we have to explain his own cards to him. Wait, does this untap before or after this? Can I still do that now? We're playing 3v1 against Dopey while also coaching Bigfoot through his own broken brew. So after we're thoroughly stomped again, I finally say what we're all thinking. This is your fault, Bigfoot. You brought one hyper-proxied mystery tier deck after we told you to bring options. That forced the rest of us to match power levels, which means we had to sit through Dopey's Turbo Magda deck going off twice because we got to turn 4. So, salty judges, am I the salty asshole here for calling out Bigfoot's fake singleton soup, for pointing out that Dopey's bracket 4 is just bracket 5 in a trench coat, or for still pretending that our bracket system actually works when chaos like this happens? I also have included the deck list of Dopey's supposed bracket 4 Magda deck. Take a look through it and tell me if you believe this is a bracket 4 or 5. I know intentionality matters with the bracket system, but it just seems like this is far too pushed to be a 4. Let me know, salty but accurate. Also, there's a little PS here. Bracket 4, emotionally bracket 1, psychologically breeding pool number 2. All right. Oh, page not found for the Magda deck.
That's
Tragedy.
Got bullied into fucking trashing it, bro.
That is heartbreaking.
What's the difference between 4 and 5? I know 5 is CD
Intent.
but like,
Yeah,
is it
intent.
purely intent? It's not like number of game changers or some bullshit.
No, bracket 4 has no limits on it. It's basically bracket 4 is a deck with no limits. And this is kind of reading between the lines, but it's a deck with no limits that isn't built to the CDH meta, in my opinion. And bracket 5 is a deck with no limits that is built to the CDH meta.
Yeah, like knowing what exists out there now and like purposely being like, I want to win in
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like running the fastest win cons in a breath. Like if in my opinion, if you're running Demonic Consultation, Thassa's Oracle in a bracket 4 deck, I think you're doing it wrong. But I guess it depends on how you're getting there. But yeah, I think that if you're running like pure CDH stuff in bracket 4, I think you're missing the mark. Or you might just be a player that kind of ignores bracket 5.
I think that's sort of a personal thing we've put in place. But I think for some people, bracket 4 is just something that's bracket 5 that they've never taken to a tournament and would never take to a tournament, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are playing a bracket 4 or think they're playing a bracket 4 deck and are accidentally falling into a bracket 5 deck. I've told the story a million times about my friend Gene with the Najila deck when we played against him and we were like, dude, this is a CDH deck. And he was like, oh, really? And he was just like running all the CDH combos that Najila had, but had like come across them honestly as a player just tuning up a Najila deck. And that happens a lot. Here, it does seem like Dopey is being a little bit intentionally misleading by saying like bracket 5 isn't real. Like when someone says that, to me, that's kind of like that's an indicator that they know that they're playing a CDH deck, but justifying it by saying like, yeah, but bracket 5 is not real, so it doesn't even fucking matter. I'll just play the CDH deck.
I wish I knew how the Magna deck was winning, because I wonder if it's that they have the infinite like mana combo and output outlets.
It seems like it was clock.
But that's not winning, right? That like gives you an infinite state in which you usually get Tear the Peaks or something to like win instantly in that moment. So if like, do they just have a bunch of other stupid dragons that then they kill you on the next turn or something with like, and that's why they're considering it like, oh, this is like just bracket 4. Like what? How do they actually win? I mean, probably, but that's maybe how they're justifying to themselves. It's like, even though they have like 75% of it, the part that they're missing is the part that like makes it quick and painless, hopefully. But who knows? We're just speculating, or I'm just speculating at that point. But
yeah, it's a real shame that the
list is not there.
That the list is not there, man. I'm kind of devastated. That sucks. I really wanted to look at it too.
The question is asked, are you the asshole? Honestly, I think only for how you approached it. I don't think it's the Flubs players' fault here. I think it's their fault that they didn't know what their deck does. I'm not a fan of that. And you should play a deck out, especially if you've just proxied in a ton of new things and want to try it. You might even discover on your own that you've put 2 Lotus Petals in the deck. It's good to test your stuff out, especially as you get into the higher tiers or the higher brackets of commander decks. It becomes more and more important to know how your deck works. And Flubs in particular is such a specific timing thing around your cards and when you want to have cards in hand and when you don't want to have cards in hand, so that you're drawing cards when you're playing things. It's so specific in that way that it's not something you can just sit down and like wing and get right in your first time trying to cast it. So that part bothers me. But I have a hard time with any story where someone only bringing one deck means that that's what the pod is playing for the night. Because presumably, if other people brought more than one deck, there's another deck available for him to play. Yeah. And you could mix it up and play each other's lists and get away from this one game experience that's not so good. And I don't think that an overtuned Magda deck is always going to be something you need to, like, there is space for that at a bracket 4 pod. And if you're losing to it every time, just only play bracket 5 into it.
Yeah. Build a Morath deck.
Yeah.
Build a Pinger deck.
I wonder if there's a world where you just need to, you sort of put cuffs on yourselves and like every pod's allowed to do what they want. If that's how you guys like to do it, you can, but you're like, oh, no proxies if you don't own the card. If you remove that and you all can just build like bracket 5 decks, like true CDH decks, that apparently don't exist according to the one guy, then I think that's the true top of the line, right? That's the ceiling that now you're actually all building to the same thing. So you remove this like power level issue that you're having, because that's the problem, right? Like this person keeps trying to build as high as he can for your given bracket. And so like if you're just all truly playing bracket 5, then like life should in theory be better. But your other friend does need to like, you know, learn how their deck works before they just do it.
Yeah, I think there is an element also of like, if you're playing, even if you're playing bracket 5, but saying you can only use proxies if you own the card, there is an element of like a mono red Magda deck is going to be a lot easier and cheaper to build at a bracket 5 with no proxies versus like a Kinnan deck or even a Eureka deck that need those like very expensive free counter spells and things like that. Like some of those monocolored decks that are out there for CDH, a lot of the cards are budget, you know, like some of the weird dwarfs you're playing in Magda aren't really breaking the bank. So you can kind of get to those higher power levels.
Whoa. Spark Mage did not need that kind of hate right there, dude.
But I think for me, I agree with what you guys are saying, but also I do think that there's an element of like, even if you can say, hey, let's do a lower power game, borrow a deck, Bigfoot brought that deck to play that night. And once someone is locked onto that, they're like, I want to play my new brew. It's hard to shake them off of that. So I think it's just this thing where, again, like I kind of said this in the last story, but like it sounds like Bigfoot is not knowledgeable enough to play a really clean game, but is knowledgeable enough to be dangerous in a game. And sometimes the danger is just sort of being kind of like weaponized stupidity, like ruining a game night with like tons of misplays and, you know, challenging board states. And it's this hard thing where like if you and your other buddy are game to, you know, if you and Fabio are game to teach Bigfoot how to play and Dopey just wants to fucking stomp and like do some turn 3 wins and shit like that. I don't think your pod is on the same page for a number of reasons, but I think that element is a big one. If you're somebody who's pretty new and needs to be walked through on a game, I think everybody else in the pod needs to take a step back and say, hey, we're playing for practice right now. This is like a T-ball game. Let's all take our turn up at bat and like really go through it a little bit slowly.
I do think it's funny that you've managed to find a pod that has a person on each opposite end of the spectrum of like, you've got one person who really wants to like tune as much as they possibly can to just be beating you out the whole time, and then somebody else who's like, I think this is a 4, guys. I think it could be a 4.
I think that happens in like a pod that's built around like a Snapchat group with 9 people, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like this is 4 people that are playing together at a time. There's like some variance in who you're playing with, and with a wider net like that, you're going to get different levels of experience.
There is something so poetic about the person piloting Flubs the Fool just being a bit of a fool. Like I love when you walk into the LGS and you're like, hey Bigfoot, did you bring any other decks? And they're like, I only brought Flubs. And the quotes are, this time it's for real. It has everything in it. And you're like, okay. Can you be more specific? No, I can't. Like, all right, cool, dude.
So what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
I'll agree with what Mike was saying earlier. Like, I think you put a little bit too much blame on Bigfoot. It sounds like your buddy Dopey is just always going to try to pop off and stomp a little bit. I don't want to say pub stomp, but like definitely stomp your table a little bit. I mean, 50% win rate is crazy. I think there needs to be like a come to Jesus moment with your pod where it's like, hey, Dopey wins all the time and is always like pushing the brackets to their utmost power level. Maybe
he should play down a bracket.
Maybe you guys got to rise to the occasion. And when you're playing bracket 4, you're like really at the top level of bracket 4. When you're playing bracket 3, you're really pushing those limits. I think that if you have this pattern, that pattern is going to exist whether or not Bigfoot is fumbling around with a Flubs deck or not. And I think that's where the salt came from. The fact that Bigfoot is like fucking around with this Flubs deck and it's annoying is a little grain of salt, but Dopey comboing off with this like Magda deck and saying it's not bracket 5 when maybe it is, that's really where the core of the salt is. High salt for me, even higher salt knowing that this fucking link is broken and I can't see what the Magda deck is.
Yeah, that's the highest salt part about it.
Yeah. Can't have your cake and eat it too.
Oh, I want to eat the cake, Tony. I want to eat the cake, dude.
You can do that. You just can't have it also.
Anyhow.
Well,
one last one.
Let's do it, baby. Give me another.
How about house?
House?
House.
Because you're about to have a
moving
new one.
Fabio house.
Oh, I am about to move. Yep, you're right. We got one right here, and it's short, sweet, into the salt. This one is titled Kitchen Table Chaos, and it comes to us from our buddy, Logan. And the story goes, hi, my name is Logan, and do I have a salty story for you? It all started at my house when me, my brother, and my father were all playing a friendly match of Commander. Friendly is in quotes. My brother was playing Barktooth Warbeard, or Patrick Star. Hey. My father was playing Lumra, and I was playing Scarab God. I had a slow start, and my brother played Mana Barbs on turn 4. On turn 5, he then played Possibility Storm, one of the nastiest cards I've ever seen. This sent me and my dad's game straight down the salt mine. All my spells became random as he played 2 mana cost spells and got another funny card, quote, in quotes, called Grip of Chaos. One of our salty cards with from the Girl Pod episode, I believe. He then also got Grievous Wounds and then randomly selected a player for it. It landed on me and I was locked out of the game. When I tap a land, I lose half of my life and was forced to watch from afar. My brother then laughed as he fucked up my board state. Nothing was left as my dad got jumped by Patrick and Kervek the Merciless. By the end, I was pissed as I watched everyone before me fall. I picked up my playmat silently as I emitted an aura as old as time. I was salty. I regret leaving the room the way I'd had, and I wish I hadn't, but it is what it is. That's Kitchen Table Chaos, baby.
I like that.
Short and sweet into the salt.
The great
Mike,
one.
Can you read us Possibility Storm?
Yeah, I'll read you Possibility Storm.
It's a good card.
It's 3 and 2 red. It's from Dragon's Maze. Oh, what a set.
What a stinky set.
What a set. It's the only printing of it.
Really?
Only printed in Dragon's Maze. It's an enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it, then exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a card that shares a card type with it.
Oof.
That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then he or she puts all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of his or her library in a random order.
And can you read Grievous Wounds too?
Yeah, Grievous Wounds, I'm pretty sure makes it so if you would lose life, instead you lose half your life.
Yeah,
but let me double check.
If you lose any life, you lose half your life.
Whenever an enchanted player is dealt damage, they lose half their life rounded up. An enchanted player can't gain life. And also, Grip of Chaos, as we know, says whenever a spell or ability is put onto the stack, reselect its target at random if it has a single target. So you got out your lovely brother got out the Possibility Storm, cast some, 2 mana, whatever the fuck into it, ended up getting Grip of Chaos, cast another thing into it, ended up getting the Grievous Wounds, had to roll randomly between you and your dad, landed on you. Mana Barbs is already out, so every time you tap a land for damage, you take 1 damage. So now whenever you tap a land, you lose half your life. Jeez, this is
it's painful.
A horrible board state. I would also pack up. I would fucking hobo bindle my play mat and my cards and go play Call of Duty in the other room.
Feels like it happened out of nowhere so fast too. I don't remember what deck I had that played Possibility Storm. I think it was Godo for some reason. But maybe I'm wrong on that, but I feel like it was
a disruptive card in Godo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works in Godo because you don't cast things from your hand. You just cast Godo from the command zone.
Yep. And then win the game.
I played it in my Rurik Thar Stacks CDH deck because whenever you cast a spell with Rurik Thar, a non-creature spell, you take 6 damage. And with Possibility Storm out, they cast the first spell and then it gets exiled and then they're forced to cast another spell. So they take 12 damage every time. So it's kind of like a second Rurik Thar effect if he's out.
Pretty good with the rule of law as well.
Yeah, dude, it definitely is because just nothing happens. Yeah, it's just a lock. It's a crazy card. It's wild that it is 1 printing and it's a $1.60.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I looked it up.
Oh, because it's 5 mana. It's a lot.
It is, but it's potent, man. That's a powerful effect.
In a lot of ways, I feel like it's the pinnacle of chaos card that people see in Commander.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of like the most playable.
Completely game warping. Yeah, it is the most playable. It just is so ridiculous that it makes everything a mini game for everyone. It's like, let's see what we're getting. And if you've built your deck to have like half 1 drops and half 10 drops, you're going to take some pretty good advantage of Possibility Storm.
I have come around to chaos effects like this because I really do enjoy. I've found the love.
Mike instantly writes down on the side, Sam is okay with my chaos decks now.
It was known, Tony. I didn't have to write anything down.
Because I've really fallen in love with flipping random shit off the top of my deck. Like that's just something that, my Cascade decks have it. Kona sometimes has effects like this. Hans has effects like this. So there's something fun about being like, what's it going to be? And I think it was my Togo Kesket deck playing what the fuck is that reshape thing where I exile 10 artifacts and then flip through my deck and put 10 artifacts into play, that type of effect.
Something Ingenuity.
Something Ingenuity.
No, not Ingenuity.
Indomitable Creativity. That is it.
I'm so upset.
And so as soon as I the first time I cast Indomitable Creativity, it was just oh man, the joy of just being I'm flipping 10 things off my deck. I have no idea what the fuck I'm getting, but it's probably going to be good. I think it's the same thing that makes people love playing both of the Atalis or even Ragavan to some extent, where it's I might get something good. I might get something bad. Who the fuck knows? There's a little bit of that randomness, a little bit of that chaos, but it usually gives you some kind of value. And I think with Possibility Storm, because it's symmetrical, it can just kind of be funny. Now, if someone's flipping out stacks pieces, I think It's not quite as funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if I enjoy
mean,
that as much.
They're flipping out grievous wounds. That's hilarious.
It's hilarious as
Yeah.
long as it's not targeting you.
Yeah. Well, it's random targets. Who knows? Who knows who it's going to target? That's
Which
pretty
feels
funny.
even worse. It somehow almost feels worse when you randomly get picked than when you are selected.
Yeah, it's true. I agree, Sam. This is sometimes fun. I think the thing about this is you start to play when goofy cards like this start hitting, you're playing something that sometimes feels like a very different game. Almost feels a little more Hearthstone-y, a little goofier maybe.
Yes.
Getting these random flip effects. And sometimes I'm down for that. Sometimes I'm not. And if this was the table I was sitting down across from every single time, I would lose my mind. That would not be fun. But every once in a while, in a blue moon, seems like a good time.
Yep. I agree.
Hell yeah. Well, what do we think about the salt rating on this one?
Surprisingly low.
Yeah.
Low, but high enough to leave.
Yeah, high for the person, but even themselves, they're like, I wish I hadn't reacted this way.
Yeah.
Not my proudest moment.
But you're forced into a situation where you have to actually just do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing.
Yeah. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
You're totally locked out. I will say, I think you can take heart in the fact that this is incredibly unlikely to happen again. Like,
Yes.
the salt shakers really had to align for you to not only have the mana barbs out, get the grievous wounds out, and put onto you randomly off of a possibility storm. Like, this is all, it's fate. It just kind of happened.
Yeah. It's one of those Hercules once every 18 years the stars align kind
Exactly,
of vibe. Like, you'll be all right.
And I do got to say, I respect the Patrick Star Chaos Stacks deck. I think it's fucking funny. I don't want to play against it all the time. It reminds me of Nick's Mogus deck. Like, I don't want to play against that deck every single week. But every once in a while, I'm like, give me a taste, give me some of that salt. I'm down.
I'd like a little bit.
I'd like a little bit. Just a little bit of that chaos.
A little bit. Wave a little bit.
Well,
settle down. You're not allowed to fucking say that.
Well, I was just
Well,
trying. I was just trying.
You were trying something new
Just
and
trying.
it didn't work. Let it be known.
You were about to sing a show tune. I just had to move on.
Okay.
Well,
Stop
that
it.
time.
Stop it.
What time is it, Mike?
Don't you dare.
This time of the week it
Sam,
comes every week.
hang on. We need a good clean take of this last bit.
I need a good clean take.
So, well, Sam, is it that time of the week?
Tony, I think it is that time of the week.
Oh, well, lay it on me, baby. What time is it?
It's the time of the week that comes every week.
Every motherfucking week, baby.
It's the time of the week where we say, Mike,
We almost did it clean. Mike.
what's the salty card of the week?
The salty card of the week this week is
All right. I don't have a salty song because I was up until 2 a.m. and I've been moving like crazy. So I'm just gonna do it off the top of the dome. The salty card. The salty card of the week. The salty card of the week.
Oh, yeah. He's still going. Keep going. Yeah.
Dude,
Hot.
Zoom just said, "Are you playing music right now?"
Because it
thanks,
doesn't
Zoom.
feel like music.
I'm pretty
Thanks,
much
Zoom.
I am playing my instrument.
the voice,
The
What
vocal
instrument do I
cords.
play the chords. Well, thank you, Sam.
Whenever a singer says, "I have to take care of my instrument," and they mean their voice, a fucking angel dies. Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Mike.
And a gremlin rises from the ash.
Yeah, literally.
The salty card of the week is what happens to you when you've been packing up your whole house all day. It's exhaustion.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice, dude.
It is 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Creatures and lands target opponent controls don't untap during his or her next untap step.
Oh, what the fuck?
And the flavor text is tired doesn't even begin to cover it.
Hey,
Oh my
I
God.
feel you, baby. I feel you.
So 2 and a blue, screw you, target player.
Yeah, it's so fucking bullshit.
Yeah, Tony,
Jeez,
tell us how
dude.
you feel.
Yo, fuck Blue. Blue would have this too. Like, just fuck you in particular. And whoever runs this, you're a dipshit. Like, it's not that fucking good. I hate it so much. And people probably do run this fucking card. I would be so mad. Also, because I would get fucking targeted with it, no doubt. I wouldn't even be the right fucking choice, and you fucks would all fucking target me with it. This would make me incredibly fucking salty.
If we were targeting you with it, it's because you were the right choice.
I doubt it. Oh my god, it would make me so fucking salty if you played this card against me.
Yeah, it's true. Sam, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, any card that is just fuck you in particular, I ask why. I'm like, why would you put this in your deck? I mean, there are definitely moments where you could play this to your advantage. Like someone is about to win and they're like, we need to stop Tony before he untaps. And you're like, well, I have one special card in my deck that can do just that.
Yeah.
But I don't know why else you would ever put this in a deck. I think maybe if you could copy it, like if you could cast this and copy it a couple times and like just tap everybody out for a round, you know, maybe it's got some merit at that point. That's like where I'm kind of predicting this might be seen in some decks. I also think that this is just a card that someone is going to read it. They're going to be like, wow, this card fucking sucks. I'm going to run this against my friends and make them salty, like on purpose, you know?
Put it in Krakashima.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, it's a 1-turn winter orb
And hits creatures too for fun.
It's kind of crazy. It's gross. I would really hate this if it was cast on me. Mostly I would just be like, why? Why? Why me? What are you doing?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this, Mike?
I think I agree with everything you're saying. I think there's something interesting about cards that get impacted by the transition from 2 to 4 player in the exact opposite way that a lot of cards are. Like we see Smothering Tithe, like all of these effects where it takes advantage of the fact that there are 3 players across from the board or across the table from you. This is the opposite, where it doesn't matter that there are 2 other players. This isn't saying do this to all opponents. This is saying for some reason you're still just hitting the one player. And that makes sense for something printed in 9th edition originally, right?
Yeah.
But I think this would be extremely annoying to play into, of course. It would not be fun. I do think that this has an interesting spot. 3 of the top 4 commanders that this is running, I don't think you guys would ever guess. 1 maybe. 1 you would maybe guess.
All right. Number 1, right off the bat, Taniwa.
No. But I love where your head's at.
I have no idea. Like to me, I'm thinking
fucking
like
Muldrotha, because you could play it twice. Krakashima is the only other one I
No, you
thought
can't.
of.
Come on, dude. Read Muldrotha.
Yeah,
Read Muldrotha. It's
Muldrotha
permanence
counts.
only, buddy.
It's permanence only. Whatever. It's a dumb card for dumb players.
The one in number 1, I know that Sam has played a game against.
Oh, I was gonna say, is Angelo the Painter on there?
Nope.
Fuck, that's the one that
All
can
right.
like copy.
It's
tell us, yeah.
Tell us.
Zevlor, El Terrell Exile, which is
Who
the one.
Fuck?
It's a 4/2 with haste from Baldur's
Oh.
Gate. You can pay 2 and tap it, and when you next
Dude, that's
cast an
literally-
instant or sorcery spell that targets a single
Yeah.
opponent or single permanent an opponent controls this turn, for each other opponent, choose that player or permanent and you copy it.
This is literally what I was thinking of, but I
know.
could only think of
I
Angelo
know.
the Painter. This is literally it. Yeah, this is what I built for my Commander Sealed deck a couple years ago.
Yep.
Zevlor. Yeah, this is exactly it. Zevlor would go crazy for this, where you cast it and it just hits everybody and you're like, get fucked, everyone.
Yeah. The other decks on here, the other commanders on here are very much just stapley, like screw you blue decks like Tolerand, Nezahal, Lier,
yeah.
Eluge, like all these just like
It's like
blue.
classic, like,
I'm ridiculous and stupid,
bullshit
and I can
control
get
kind of
away
stuff.
with running a not very good card because the rest of the deck is doing disgusting stuff.
Makes sense.
But
We all want to know.
where do you think it lands in the top 300 salty cards?
I have a number. I also have a
Um,
second number, but
Well, that's not
Okay,
how
well,
it
you only get
works.
one, so you're gonna
I
want to
know.
pick one of them.
I know.
And you're gonna have to tell me if you chose the first or the second number. Sam, you wanna
packed
go
away?
first?
I packed away all my shit, so I'm just gonna guess off the dome. Mike, I think this is number 76.
I did 201.
Tony takes it.
Boom.
It is 298.
Oh,
way
wow,
up there.
Way down there.
Way
Jesus.
down there, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, that makes sense because I just feel like people don't really see this in Commander. But
Yeah.
if you were voting and you saw it, you would just have that visceral reaction to be like, fuck this card. And,
For
you know,
sure. And that's why I
Brother,
almost did
yeah.
131. That was
What's
my other one.
What's that, brother? Ooh.
All right, that wraps it up for the salty card of the week. Thanks for playing.
Thanks, Mike. That was a lovely salty card. And thank you to all of our prospectors out there for hanging out with us for another episode of the Howling Salt Mine.
A clean one.
You know, we got to shout out our Salt Packet Plus tier patrons. We've got Thoughtmas Prime, Rothbox, Sire Speedy, Bobo Fett, Captain Cross, Elgo Fogel, Clearbrook, D. Beeson, Gilgamesh, Doug's Dad, Bark Bark, Pez, Swankub, The Quiet One, Vok, and Vok. I don't know why I said it that way, but hey, here we are. And thank you to everyone who hangs out with us every single week. Thank you to all of our lovely prospectors out there. If you want more Howling Salt Mine content, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. We have our Patreon content on there. We do our monthly Patreon game nights where we play with folks. We've got new CDH leagues going right now. We got some really awesome stuff. If you want to play pickup games with other people over Spell Table, games are ripping every single day in the mine. It's a great time. It's very, very fun. You should check it out.
It's also fun to be like, we used to say like some nights of the week, then it turned to like most nights of the week. Now it's like every day there are games being ripped.
Multiple a day.
And it's cool.
Crazy. It's really, I think there's literally one
happening right now while we're recording.
There's literally a
there
game
is.
happening right now.
I see the little mic icon on.
There's two pods playing right now as we chat.
John. I've been pinged twice to see if I would jump into a pod while we were recording.
Classic. That's classic. Also send us your salty stories. You can send them on our website, which is thehowlingsaltmine.com or howlingsaltmine.com. Both are going to get you there. Or you can send it to us at our Gmail, which is thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. Check out our merchandise. We have custom dragon shields for sale on the Dragon Shield website. If you just search Howling Salt or Howling Salt Mine or just Howling, they're going to show up. You can get our logo sleeves. And right now, this may change in the future, but you can get our 1-800-Are-You-Flappin' sleeve design on some custom sleeves. So put on your favorite dinosaur deck, put on your Zatalpa deck, whatever you want. We also have our play mats over at Jank Mats. Love those guys. The thickest mats in the biz. They're fantastic quality. And we also have our shirts over on Bonfire. Check out all that shit. Also, you should give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app of choice, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Like, follow, subscribe on YouTube, interact with our stuff. If you see our shorts on Instagram or if you see them on YouTube, interact with those as well. All of that stuff is free, and you interacting with things tells the algorithm that we're good and more people should listen to us, and it gets pushed out to more folks. Like, we've got a crew of folks that consistently comment on any of the YouTube shorts that we put up and the Instagram shorts that we put up. That is huge. Like, that is free. It's quick and easy to do, and it means so much. I got to shout out Kyle. This dude, Kyle, every single time we put a short out, he says obligatory comment to boost for the algorithm. And I'm like, hell yeah, Kyle, you fucking rule every single time. It's amazing.
Hell yeah,
I just
brother.
love the consistency. So that really does help. Last but not least, we got to shout him out, our buddy Devin Burnett, for giving us our beautiful podcast art that we rock every single week. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo because he's a really cool guy.
10,000 subscribers are bust.
Indeed. Well, thanks again, everybody. Stay salty, and don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
I'll mention it on the episode because I'm going to sound weird. There's no foam treatment in here. I'm just in an echo box. It's so reverby.
Oh, really? It doesn't sound like speak?
Poop, poop, pee, pee. Wieners,
Like,
wieners,
I feel
wieners.
like you just sound normal. to be
Okay,
honest.
that's good. That's good.
That's life.
It's life.
Funny as it seems. Sitting, slitting, slopping, up, and
Pooping on your
on
dreams.
dreams. Yeah.
I know I'm gonna taste that poo when I poop on top of you.
That's life. Bring it back around, maybe.
I just snorted. I just snort laughed.
I would have respected Mike if he just unplugged his headphone.
Yeah, I would get it.
I just tuned it out instead.
You just tuned it out.
Something about pooping.